here in Bannack ghost town, rural southwest Montana. Kind of bummed that my drone's missing in action, so it's just not going to be the same, but I'll film what I can. This looks like a cool one. Well, welcome to Bannack Ghost Town. This is one of the most well-preserved ghost towns in Montana, and one of the most well-preserved ghost towns I've seen in the entire American West. The fact that you can actually go in a lot of these buildings is pretty remarkable. Most ghost towns that you go to out west are on private property. They're usually fenced in. There's keep out signs. So the fact that you can really explore this ghost town and use your imagination to visualize what it's like, or what it was like to live in the 1800s is really cool. And I highly recommend Bannack. It has a very rich history and was actually founded by some Colorado guys, so that's cool. Nestled in the rugged hills of southwestern Montana, Bannack is one of the most legendary ghost towns in the American West. Founded in 1862 after the discovery of gold along Grasshopper Creek, Bannack became the first territorial capital of Montana. Almost overnight, this remote valley was transformed into a booming mining camp, drawing thousands of hopeful prospectors chasing fortune in the mountains. At its peak, Bannack was home to nearly 3,000 residents. Wooden storefronts lined the dusty main street, saloons buzzed with excitement, and families made lives for themselves in log cabins and simple frame houses. The town boasted everything from a hotel and a maison à gage to a schoolhouse and a jail, but it was also a place of lawlessness. So notorious Henry Plummer, the elected sheriff, was accused of secretly leading a ruthless gang of road agents who terrorized stagecoaches and settlers. His capture and hanging by vigilantes in 1864 remains one of the most infamous chapters in frontier history. Despite its wild reputation, Bannack thrived for decades, surviving beyond the initial gold rush. But as the mines ran dry and fortunes faded, people slowly drifted away. By the mid-20th century, Bannack was nearly abandoned, leaving a remarkably well-preserved glimpse into the Old West. Today, Bannack is a designated state park and one of the best preserved ghost towns in the United States. Over 60 original buildings still stand, leaning wooden saloons, the old brick courthouse, weathered cabins, and the creaking gallows that remind visitors of the town's turbulent past. Walking its silent streets, you can also hear the echoes of pickaxes striking rock, children playing, and stagecoaches rolling in. Visitors are drawn here not just for the history, but for the atmosphere. Unlike many ghost towns that have crumbled away, Bannack is carefully preserved so future generations can experience an authentic piece of the frontier. Every summer, the town comes alive during Bannack Days, with reenactments, music, and living history demonstrations that bring the Old West back to life. Bannack isn't just a ghost town, it's a time capsule, a place where the wild spirit of Montana's gold rush still lingers in the air. If you want to step back into the 1860s and walk the same streets as miners, outlaws, and pioneers, Bannack is a journey worth taking. So I was reading a little bit about this town in one of the pamphlets they gave me when I visited, and they had gallows here and they hung outlaws. So I'll read from the brochure that they gave me here. Construction of the gallows was ordered by Sheriff Henry Plummer to hang convicted murderer John Peter Horan. Sheriff Plummer, two of his deputies, Ned Ray and Buck Stinson, and R.C. Pegleg Raleigh, were all hanged from the gallows. Vigilante justice was often swift in the early mining camps, as was demonstrated in January and February of 1864. In December 1863, a man named Red Yeager was captured and hanged by a posse from Virginia City. Before Yeager was executed, he reportedly confessed and implicated Sheriff Plummer as the leader of the criminal gang, known ironically as the Innocents. Upon learning of Plummer's involvement, the vigilantes held a meeting in Virginia City and determined to hang Plummer and his deputies. On January 10, 1864, vigilantes from Alder Gulch arrived in Bannack and, with the aid of some local supporters, set out to capture Plummer, Ray, and Stinson. They divided into 3 groups and captured their targets without a shot being fired. On that cold evening, the 3 men were marched up to the gallows, lifted up, and dropped to their death. Plummer, it was said, after pleading his innocence, begged the vigilantes to, quote, "Please give me a good drop." So this area was pretty much founded around 1862 when John White, who was a fellow member of the Pikes Peakers, discovered gold along the banks of the creek, and he was unaware that the creek was already named Willard's Creek by Lewis and Clark. So White christened the creek the Grasshopper because of the dense grasshopper population around the area. The name Bannack refers to the Native Americans that were living there, and one possible explanation for the tribe's name is that Bannack were particularly fond of 𝐾𝐨𝐧'𝐭 root cakes. Bannack is a Scotch word and means a cake cooked over an open fire, a corruption of the tribe's name, Bannet. So I highly recommend you visit Bannack. This is about 2 hours and 20 minutes from Bozeman and Helena, and you can really explore the place in like an hour or 2. But a lot of history here. I do recommend taking one of the guided tours where they can really tell you a lot about each building and the significance and the history of the place a lot better than I can. But as always, thanks for watching. Please subscribe to my channel. Appreciate all the support and love. Keep exploring, guys.